Greetings everyone. So today we are going to discuss about another topic, which is, what the osmoregulation in all terrestrial and water animals. So if you talk about the phenomena of water regulation, if you talk about the phenomena of osmoregulation in water and terrestrial animals, we generally consider that in three major categories. Number one is aquatic, two is freshwater, and number three is terrestrial. Starting with marine or marine animals, marine organism, marine osmoregulators. So marine osmoregulators, as previously told in the video, that they face dehydration process. They basically face the loss of water and a shortage of water, due to which the cell gets shrinked, or cell can get shrinked if the water is not provided to them, and thus metabolic activities are then can be affected as a result of that consequence. But but in order to sustain themselves in such environment, what adaptations do they possess is that number one, what marine animals do is um excrete concentrated urine. They excrete concentrated urine, which has a high concentration of salts, particularly divalent ions, because divalent ions are more likely to, divalent ions are less attracted towards water, due to which divalent ions are, unwanted in the body. And secondly, what actually they do is drink a lot of seawater. When they actually drink a lot of seawater, and after drinking a lot of seawater, they excrete concentrated urine, especially divalent ions. And that concentrated urine is formed by a well developed, you know well developed a nephrological system, which is uh, by their well developed kidneys. In those kidneys there is high uh, and active reabsorption of water occurring in their kidneys, which causes them to create a concentrated urine. After that, if we talk about bony fish is a freshwater descendant, which migrates later on in its life to marine water when it becomes older. So when it becomes older, what it actually does is take a lot of seawater and excretes concentrated urine, very less urine, concentrated urine, which has got a lot of concentration of divalent ions and solutes, and a very minimal amount of water. On the other side, if you talk about some other adaptations, they have rectal glands. Rectal glands are certain types of glands near the rectum, because they are present near the rectum. These have been named as rectal glands. The function of rectal glands is to maintain the water concentration the inside the marine animals. What they actually do is that the rectal glands, let's suppose this is a fish, it's trying to draw a rough structure, and that fish has its rectum over here. So rectal gland is a type of gland in which the it is a gland in which the high solute concentration is stored. As a result of the high solute concentration being stored in the rectal gland, the as a result of high solute concentration being stored in the rectal gland, the solute concentration in rectal gland becomes more tonic, as a higher tonicity than the tonicity in the external environment, due to which the high tonicity in the rectal gland causes to move water from the external environment or the sea towards the rectal gland, due to which the rectal gland gains water. And once it has gained enough water, once it has gained enough water, the solute material is then taken out, due to which the remaining material which is present over here is water, which is required for the uh, adequate metabolism of the marine animal. Apart from which, they have active intake of water as well through their gills and skins. That's that also plays an important part. They have active intake of water through gills and skin, as well as they have rectal gland formation, active intake of water, rectal gland formation, um, active reabsorption, through kidneys, concentrated urine is produced, drink a lot of seawater, and these are the adaptations in marine fish. But if we talk about the freshwater fish, in freshwater animals, they face the problem of flooding. Their cells can get swollen up and they can burst eventually as well in several conditions. So for that, what they really need to do is, they excrete first and foremost dilute urine, excrete dilute urine, and since they excrete dilute urine with a lot of water and less salt concentration, and or even a minimal salt concentration as well. Apart from which, they actively intake salt. They actively intake salt through specialized cells in the gills and skin known as ionocytes. Ionocytes intake potassium, sodium, calcium, and other ions, and potassium, calcium, sodium, and other ions, and in return cause, cause to actively release proton and bicarbonate ions from the ionocytes, such that actively they intake potassium, sodium, and calcium ions, and actively release the proton and bicarbonate ion in exchange in order to maintain an acid base balance for the fluids in the body. So in that sense, it does two function. Number one is active intake of ions to maintain the tonicity, and number two is to maintain acid base balance, right? Apart from which, if you talk about another strategy they adapt in unicellular organism, is the formation of contractile vacuole. In unicellular organisms such as protozoa, amoeba, paramecium, they have contractile vacuole, which causes to help them excrete the excess amount of water. And if we talk about another adaptation to another adaptation, is that they prefer salt, highly salted food. They prefer highly salt food in order to get more amount of salt from there. So these are the conditions of freshwater animals adaptations that they have. Apart from which, when it comes to terrestrial animals, they are exposed to extreme dehydration, loss of water by evaporation, breathing, as well as through excretion. How does it sound? How does it happen? Is that, for example, if we talk about terrestrial insects have tracheal system for respiration, tracheal system for organismic respiration, gaseous exchange. So in the tracheal system, what they actually do is, that tracheal system causes to lose water from their body as well. How we are going to discuss now. And apart from that, when it comes to the way through which they prevent this loss of water, is number one, the formation of a thick waxy cuticle, a thick waxy exoskeleton of chitin, or the presence of a thick shell of calcium carbonate in insects, as well as in many of the mollusks. There is a shell of calcium carbonate, and in insects there is exoskeleton made up of chitin, which helps to prevent water loss. Apart from which, in other terrestrial animals, we've got a multi-layered keratinized skin, which prevents the loss of water. This is the first point, that they have a body surface which prevents water loss. And number two, what we have uh, got is, they take moist food. They take moist food and a lot of water. But in case if there is no water, then in that sense they also are adapted to do something else, which we are going to discuss. And there's another process. If they are not living in an environment where water is not readily available, then they perform ketosis. Ketosis is a process in which the water obtained through the metabolism of fat and carbohydrates is utilized for their bodily functions. This water is known as water of metabolism because it is obtained by the metabolism of fat and carbohydrates, and that water is obtained mostly through peroxisomes. So these animals have peroxisomes abundant in their cells, peroxisomes. Example of this includes kangaroo rat, which provide which eats seeds of desert plants rather than drinking water. Um, it eats a lot of seeds of desert plants which contain high amount of fat and carbohydrates, due to which that fat being metabolized causes to produce water of metabolism in the peroxisome, due to which the water is then utilized for the metabolic activities. And after ketosis, another process that I like to highlight is about anhydrobiosis. Many of the land or terrestrial animals have the characteristic to tolerate hydration. That is because of a number of reasons. Number one is, there's cells which contain high amount of water. Let's take the example of brain cells, neurons. Neurons contain around 85 to 95% of water, and that huge amount of water can, upon dehydration, can be released as well. So anhydrobiosis is also a part of homeostatic condition for terrestrial animals. But again, it's an adaptation for highly developed animals. For example, if we talk about birds and mammals, they do that. And on the other side, we've got concentrated urine. They produce concentrated urine with the secretion of urea or uric acid, for the secretion of urea and uric acid. And for that, they have got highly developed kidneys and intestines, which basically have um, the capability to actively reabsorb water uh, multiple times to make the urine as concentrated and as concentrated as possible, depending upon the need of the water in the environment. So these were the points, apart from which terrestrial insects. Terrestrial insects basically have the tracheal system, and what they do is, through the tracheal system, they have the capability to extract water vapors from the air, due to which these water vapors are helpful in getting water from those water vapors, as a result of which terrestrial insects are also helped by this system in their maintenance of water inside the body. And apart from that, what do they have is that they have anhydrobiosis, ketosis, moist food and water, body surface. And number seven is that they have well developed kidneys. So these are some points that I wanted to mention, the adaptations which they have in order to combat the environment. So in that sense, this is all about today's video. These are the three major adaptations that I wanted to discuss. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. We'll meet again in another one.